Welcome to the Circle of Grace 1. I'm your host, Chief Principal Teacher and Founder, Bishop Francis E. Revels-Bey. One of the things that we're doing today is that we came on a little later, and it's approximately 6:45 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, serving and helping a lot of other people with some technical issues. And right about now, we're coming on with our own program here for Circle of Grace 1. Whenever you hear me use our own program, it's just not me, the moderator, and the founder of the Circle of Grace 1, but it's also all of my spirit guides that come into play to help me out, as well as the angel of grace that is always present to help me out. So before we get started, today is the 24th of February 2014. That's Monday, the 24th, 2014. And what this program is all about is the Circle of Grace 1. So before I let you know about Circle Grace 1 and everything connected to the Circle Grace 1, let me open up with a welcoming prayer. Through divine power and by divine grace, may all of you who get a chance to watch the show live or watch it in its archives immediately after the show, or maybe you go over to my YouTube channel, Circle of Grace 1, and also get to review the show again there. Whatever you might be doing, wherever you might be at this very moment, allow yourself to be free of any disturbances. Allow yourself to be free so that you can feel more relaxed and balanced in your life, where there's greater wellness, wholeness, feeling much better about yourself. May what you hear here in tonight's live webcast, or again, when you come to it a little later, may it bless you immensely. May you get plenty of things out of it. I'm going to cover a wide variety of subject matter tonight. I'm going to do my best to narrow it down into two distinctive areas. So when you are watching this program, may you receive a blessing in your own way. Amen. And so it is. Well, the Circle Grace One was founded on July the 2nd, 1999 AD, under the aegis and the anointing of the Angel of Grace through divine providence. It gave birth to its very own spiritual and metaphysical institute called the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance on February the 7th, 2009. So, already in this month, on February the 7th, 2014, it officially became 5 years old. And that's the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance. And I like to call it the whole thing together. Circle of Grace 1 is the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance. And so here on this live show, we cover a lot of information. One time I was on here talking about the letters A through F and then G through Z. And I gave the Kabbalistic significance of the letters as well as the numerology significance of those letters, and gave an example in terms of the letters being used as the first vowel or consonant in someone's first name or last name or middle name or even nickname. One time I talked about numerology and its influences, hidden influences in addresses, be it a business address or a residential address. I've also given information here with the colors and the chakras, talked about crystals, some of the crystals that I work with, and I've talked about decrees. At times, the program will go into something called decree and it shall be. So I've been, have this opportunity to broadcast live, video stream live since November 2008 when I first began on another site that was called Mogulus, that then was called Livestream. And then I went from there to Ustream in June of 2009. But Decree and It Shall Be was a special program all to itself, because what I used to do back east, I used to come on a Sunday, the very first Sunday of each and every month. I would come on about 9, 10 a.m. in the morning, 11 a.m., and then I would come back at 7 p.m. and repeat that show live. And one of the segments that I did was called Decree and It Shall Be. And it was about the science and the art of prayers, affirmations, affirmative prayers, and decrees. And it went over so well with so many people watching that show that I gave it a separate show. And I would go on every Eastern Standard Time when I lived out in New Jersey. And it began to take on a whole new following to it. So then we switched. We had some tech issues and we had to move on, so we did that. And I brought it over to, I think, Justin.tv. I tried it there. A whole host, a whole smidget of stuff. But then I came back to Ustream because they had improved on some levels and they did a lot more things, and so it allowed me to come back through Ustream and broadcast all over the place. So here I am out in New Mexico now, and usually I come on every Monday at about 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But right now I started this program at 6:45 p.m. And so the shows sometimes we run 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 75 minutes, or even 90 minutes, or sometimes even longer. But I'll be here every week, every Monday, unless it's a holy day or a holiday for many of us on a broad scale. So sometimes you take a little time off. I also have something referred to as random broadcasting. And what's random broadcasting? Well, random broadcasting is when our spirit leads me to come on maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning, Mountain Standard Time, 6 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, so that the information that we have to give you, and I say we, meaning our ancestor guides, the ascended masters flowing through, as well as the angel of grace giving information so you could learn. And these weekly shows that are done every Monday, the weekly shows that are done every Monday like this, are what? Well, they actually allow you to get this information for free. Now, in the near future, I will do some teller webinars or teleseminars, and the webinars will be paid. There'll be a certain price, and that show will only be there live. After that, it'll be clicked over to something else or deleted straight out. I won't record it. I'll just broadcast it live, and I might audio record the show. So there's some different ways in which these programs will be presented for a minor fee when it's a webinar or a web conference. We'll be doing that in the near future of now. In fact, coming up on next month, on Tuesday, March the 18th, I'm going to have a special teleseminar. And it's going to be quite inexpensive to join it. All you have to do is get your $20 into me. So if you want to find out about that one, why don't you email me at IAM, the letters IAM dot circle of grace. That's CIRCLEOFGRACE with the number one right after that E at yahoo.com, or iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com, or Bishop Francis, BISHOPFRANCIS at circleofgrace1.net. So in the very near future, I'm going to be putting more information, in fact, fresh essays up at circleofgrace1.net. That's my main website. So you'll be able to get all the updates. I have to go there and update it anyway, so I'm going to go in there occasionally at night and put some new information up there. Now, also, when you get an opportunity to take this teleseminar, you can pay it through PayPal. Once that payment is made, and I'll give you those instructions how to use PayPal and pay your $20 fee so you can participate in this teleseminar. Usually my teleseminars run about $45 for about 90 minutes. And I've done some all day. In fact, way back in November 2008, October 2009, and 2008, I actually taught a live webcast stream that went for like 3 hours straight. I didn't even take a break. Went 3 hours straight and taught. And I had a lot of people came online and had an opportunity to participate and get that information. It was connected to the first tier or first level, which there are 5 levels to the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance as the Metaphysical and Spiritual Institute. And it was called the Open Door. and all the things that you experience as you open up yourself to the spiritual and metaphysical path. So, we're going to delve into these in different ways, and I've done maybe about 20 or 30 teleseminars since about 2009. And once your fee is into me, I will give you the phone number, the call in phone number, at the time that you will call in for your particular time zone. And then I will also give you, so that you will know, you will also have an idea to find out how to where you place that payment at. Maybe I'll give you an address here, and you can send a check or a money order. But you can go to PayPal, and if you have a PayPal account, from your PayPal to mine, or you use a debit or credit card. So there are different ways in which you could pay for the course. You don't have to pay for it in advance. I'll have to receive your hard check or money order the day before, you know, at about midnight at the latest. Your PayPal payment in by midnight at the latest the night before, so that everybody can get ready. And then I can send a brief outline out to your email addresses so you know what I'll be covering. So, everybody will be aware of that I am Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the host, chief principal teacher, bishop, and founder of the Circle of Grace 1, as well as the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance. And so it's my journey to share these teachings with you in different ways. I also have some e-newsletters like Two Bears. It's in its I believe its fourth volume already, and I get started. I have a March issue that I'm going to come out with, and so if you want to find out how to pay for a 1-year subscription or a 6-month subscription of Two Bears, Two Bears 6 months is $25, but if you pay a full 1-year subscription, you get it for $45. I also have a brand new one that gets sent out to your house or to your apartment in the regular mail, and that's called the Grace Keys. And then I have the Circle of Divine Grace and Remembrance, as it's called, and that's an issue that comes out 3 times a year. So you might want to find out by emailing you how to subscribe to these different ones, and I'll give you the subscription rates and everything, so that you can be on top of this information just as I get it. All right, so what I want to do, I want to mention briefly about altars. There's a question that came to mind, and is really based on information that flew into me some time ago, and also speaking with my students that I mentor had questions about altars, or they're beginning to study altars on their own, and they needed to know, the importance of having one. Well, whether you have an apartment or you have a residential house, it doesn't matter whether you rent or you own it, you should have an altar set up in your home. Now, the unique thing about an altar is an altar, Altar. It's kind of a play on words a little bit. It's connected to the word Alter, which means to change. So altars are created. They're tools that are utilized to help alter or change your consciousness. Now, what are we talking about changing your consciousness? Well, we're talking about elevating and expanding your consciousness to move you from finite thinking to infinite thinking. Finite meaning limited thinking, to infinite thinking. Limited thought processes, limited feelings, to a more expansive, vast awareness of things going on around you. And so when you're using an altar, a physical altar, the traditional ways of the altars were set maybe so that you were facing the west, or you were facing the east, or you were facing the north, or you were facing the south. And the people that use altars for centuries, for thousands of years, through various civilizations, have been priests and priestesses, ministers and their assistants. And when we say priests and priestesses, we're talking about the occult magicians who use altars. And their purpose for using the altars was to help consecrate their tools that they had, from their swords and daggers to their wands, their rods, and their staffs. their amulets that they wear, their talismans that they wore, that they worked with, and their medallions. There's so many different ways. There are modern ways to invite the spirit of grace. You get the vibration of compassion and unconditional love and grace into your life. You use altars. They're different colors. So I'm just going to mention briefly, and at another time, another moment, another evening, I'm going to come in and I'm going to come forth and give you a whole array of what you can do with altars. But I want to give you some ideas right now about an altar. Again, it's the frequency, the vibrational rate that's in your home, to elevate it, to maybe ground it, or to center it more. Well, here are some of the things that an altar is used for. An altar is used to raise the vibration on your property. That means inside your house as well as outside your house. You can raise the vibration there. It's used for shielding and protection. Well, shield so nothing gets into your space, your living space, or your meditative space. And protect not just you, but protect anybody that's in your home, right down to your animals. Your who are your four-legged masters walking around your house, or your winged masters, your birds, your cats and your dogs. Maybe you have children that have gerbils, or they have snakes and all. There's all kind of connections, animal connections people may have in their home. So they can set an altar up and program it, the energy of the altar, the space in the ethers around it, in the air, to take on a certain quality, to shield and to protect. Then you can use altars to enhance your prayer time and your meditation time, as well as the room in which you do it from. It will help raise the vibration and expand it. You can use it also from the traditional standpoint of an altar, which was to honor one's ancestors. So that means you can set up a simple altar in your home where you have a picture of your mom, your dad, if they've passed in transition into the light, your grandparents, maybe a special person in your life. Maybe I've had a lot of my spiritual sisters back east had their animals, pet masters as I call them, the pet connections, and these were part of their families for so long, so they have actual pictures of them. And it doesn't mean that they're worshiping them, but they're letting them know it's a focus which they can send their emotional feelings, very positive and uplifting feelings, and they feel more comfortable when they see the essence of them around like that in a picture form. Well, a picture of children. Or if you're dealing with ascended masters, you might have a picture of a drawing of an ascended master arrayed in that ascended master's particular color or ray, ascension ray that it works with. And there are anywhere from 1 to 22 and actually higher up different color combinations representing an ascension consciousness ray. Then there's also not only that, but you can pull in the planetary and galactic energies, that universal force. You can pull on the Earth's energy. You can pull on the other planetary energy within the Pacific galaxy that you're in, or connect to others. Now, there are other ways you can use it to as a form of spiritual communication. That means connecting with your spirit guides, again, your ascended masters, hearing messages. It can be like a huge scrying tool all to itself. There's another way to align, right? To line yourself up to and attune yourself to crystal energy grids running through the area where you reside or work or live, the entire state itself. Or maybe you're trying to connect into the crystal grids or power points around the country that you live in and beyond. You can use an altar to empower your spiritual tools, which I mentioned earlier. Your wands, your rods, your staffs. Some people work with swords, daggers. Some people have special amulets and talismans, medallions, or Or here's another thing: they have sigils written on paper. That's another way. Um, People also can work and to empower finances, symbols, and charts to create that. You might have a chart. Some people call it the dream board or the vision board. They might have a large board or a smaller board map in which they can place on the altar to raise the vibration of what the thought processes are, emotional processes are that are connecting you to these symbols that represent something else. So it can take care of your dream board, your vision board. Maybe you're seeking to move one day, so you can create a collage of pictures that represents where you're going and how you're going to get there. So nowadays they call it a dream board, but it was a board or a card that used actually a five-pointed star in it with the various points representing what you wanted, how it came to you, uh, what was the specific reason for using it, where you wanted distinctively to go to, this thing that you're calling into place, these experiences. So not only to empower your spiritual tools, but to also attract and maintain and anchor better health conditions, wealth conditions, abundance, prosperity, and of course to alter your consciousness so that you connect to higher frequencies. Maybe you want to communicate with angels and ascended masters again, or archangel vibrations and beyond that. Now, here's another thing you want to know about the altar. Not only just the placement. If you place the altar to the east, the concept of that is to gain peace of mind and have new beginnings. And the way people would do that, not only just facing east, thinking of springtime, some people use all four cardinal directions. So they would set their altar up so it'd be almost like wheels. Or they would have a different altar in a different area. Now, if you wanted to, people could use the feng shui concept and therefore have 8 different altars going on in the 8 different areas of their home to create that vibration. But usually you just need one, and if you know the different color combinations, now there are different traditions, so different cultures use different things. All of them work. It's just whichever one you consider, being one or more that you consider a preference for yourself. So take for example, if you set up an altar that was connected to the rainbow chakra system, the Western concept of it as it stands today, you would get several, I'm going to say fragments or garments, pieces of garments. Use, they have them in certain locations. You actually get an altar cloth. An altar cloth is just about as big as a handkerchief, okay, or bandana. It's the same size, it's just made out of silk. And you would get it in the various colors. So let's say you wanted to work with the mercurial power of Mercury and the mind and the science of that, you'd use a yellow garment. And then you would work, if you want to further empowerment for yourself, like work it on a Wednesday. Or let's say you wanted good fortune to come into your life, so you use blue. That would be Thursday, a Jupiter ruled day. You see what I'm saying? So all these different things can come into place. You have an orange one that rules over Monday vibration, which is kind of a lunar energy to attract the lunar part. But maybe you vibrate in a completely different way. So let's say you go back to your chakras. You have the crown chakra, which is purple, royal purple, or violet shade. Or you use the third eye, which is like an indigo blue, which is a combination of blue and purple. And then you use like a sky blue silk piece, and that's your throat center. Then you use a turquoise is the bridge, the Christ energy between the power of speaking and the power of compassion in the heart. The heart chakra would get green. Then you have the solar plexus would get yellow. You have the navel and the lower chakra would get orange. And then you have the root chakra would get red. So right there you have your 7 basic, and then you can add silver in, gold in, black in, you see, brown in, and all of these other combinations to get what you want. You could have a flat white and then a titanium white, a silver and a platinum kind of silver range. So you get all of these different vibrational things through colors, and just fold it into a triangle on your altar or a square, and then you just open it up accordingly to what you were doing. Now, many other people sometimes just want to stick with the basics of their altars, so they want to include no matter which direction that they're working with, because all directions are from within. As you know, as you honor in the Native American path, not only are you facing east and then south and then west and then north, but you're also going to the sky and to the earth. That gives you 6, and then within, which is 7, yourself. So there are many ways in which you can connect all of these together. But what people do, and I'm going to let you know about, see, the medicine wheel or the mandala on the earth, those are also altars, living altars. You're working around. A labyrinth is the same. It's a part of that. That's on the earth. Yes, it's a labyrinth. Yeah, you got a medicine wheel. You got a mandala etched out into the ground, but that's also, you can walk down around in that. You're walking around in an altar, something that's changing your consciousness, changing the environment. So we get back right now and just kind of see that you would have a glass of water or a bowl of water, and that would emulate the element of water itself. Or you would have a candle, and that would be fire. Or you would have some incense or a little cup of oil, and that would represent the element of air. And then you would have salt. You can use, people would use kosher salt or some sea salt. Or the kosher salt means just was prayed over. You can pray over your own items and to empower them the same way. Or they use some earth, element of the earth, in a bowl. So out here, there's a lot of red dirt. You put a little red dirt into a dish, and right then and there, you don't need a lot. This just represents what you have. Or you can use minerals, like rocks themselves. The dirt with a little bit of rock on it. Doing the same thing. All it is just really an extension of yourself, and it's a reminder that you're connected to these elements, and they're not separated from yourself. So sometimes in the Western concept, there's a feeling of a separation from the 4 elements. But the 4 elements you're using all the time, and the 4 elements are a part of you. So you see what I'm saying? You have an altar, and this altar would be set up in such a way so that you'd be working in the remembrance, therefore be empowered by 4 elements and seeing them in a symbolic form around you. So there's so many different ways. Well, some people say, well, suppose I can't get some dirt in my house. Oh, yeah, you can. But you want to make sure it's coming from a clean space at the same time. So you don't want to make sure you don't have glass in it, or someone's dog urinated. You don't want any of that, because then you don't want that essence in your house. You want clean dirt, something that doesn't have too much chemicals embedded into it. Just its naturalness itself. This is why you can use a rock, you see. Or you can use a gemstone. You can use a black gemstone, like a tourmaline, if you want, a black tourmaline. Or you can get a hold of an obsidian, a black obsidian, to represent the earth itself. You can represent the light coming into the earth, and that would be the snowflake obsidian. So there's different things you can set up for an altar to help change your consciousness. It's all a vibration, and the vibration has its own energy. That's why, when you really want to get into using altars, you don't want to use anything that's too synthetic. In other words, you don't want to get any you don't want to get any synthetic gems. You want semi-precious gems or precious gems, or the rock. Sometimes you can find copper attached to rough sodalite in the back of it, or you might find the copper running into the earth with the jasper running into the earth, or the copper. On the other side, you might have some citrine there, or you might find on the side that you're utilizing, you might see lapis lazuli, and that has like mica flecks running through it. So you might find all of this combined together, or just some straight selenite. There's so many different ways. Some people use tarot cards and actual physical coins in the physical denomination. They put a dollar there. You know, Southern practice sometimes, in the Midwest practice, they would get a nut called a buckeye, and the buckeye, when you look at it, it looked like it had a bullseye design on it, and they would use that to help draw in, to represent drawing in of prosperity and finances. Or some people use fresh sage leaves on the altar to do that, white sage leaves, or purple sage leaves on the altar, or a little bit of rosemary on the altar to bring up the vibration, or bay leaf, or basil to do it. So there, again, it's different things. Some people might use a cactus plant, like the aloe, on their altar to give that vibration of cleanliness and purification and protection in the earth. So these things I just throw out to you so you have an idea of all the different things that can go into an altar. Various religions and cultures use altars. There hasn't been anyone who doesn't that I know of at this point. Everybody has used it on some level in their lives. They've used it to enhance their life. They've faced the actual cardinal directions or the corners to create the vibration. But you can take the altar and create what represents a golden city, if you like, the city of lights, if you like, or the solar energies, or the lunar energy. So there's so many different ways. But know that each element gives off its own vibration, and you can accelerate that vibration through sound, color. Now, sound could be through a tuning fork, tuning bowls, crystal bowls, and the metal Tibetan bowls, through the sound of your own voice. You can help change and raise the vibration. If you use quartz crystals, it'll amplify it, like amethyst, clear quartz, celestial quartz crystal. It will amplify the energy. In other words, make it larger, magnify it, and then expand it. And in the direction of your thought, your intention, can carry it further out for yourself. So I wanted to take this time out and just mention about the use of altars. It's very important now that you use the altars to enhance your personal space. And you can have more than one. You can have one in your bedroom, or two in your bedroom. You can have something in your meditation room. You can have something sitting there in your living room in a certain corner. You can have something, a little one sitting in your kitchen if you want. You can have a special, like when you use your bathroom to clean and cleanse yourself, you can put gems and everything in there too. Raise the vibration so that when you're in there, you're really cleansing on a higher level. These are just some of the things I wanted to bring to your attention. Now, here was something that was actually channeled to me in the wee hours of Saturday morning, February 22nd, 2004. And I'm going to read it and maybe partially teach it to you at the same time, but it's really self-explanatory. This information was given to me by the Angel of Grace, and it's a very powerful message. The message that I was given, the message that I had received, this particular message is called A Seed of Divine Grace and Remembrance. A Seed of Divine Grace and Remembrance. And this is how it unfolded. And again, this was channeled. I didn't have this written on paper. I had to go back and get it from the different sources in which I actually wrote it into at the same time as I was receiving it. And where I initially placed it was on Facebook, my Facebook page, under my name. So this is how it came out, word for word to me. I was able to write it right into my Facebook timeline page. I have seeds of divine grace This is my part. I have seeds of divine grace and remembrance for you, whether we have had much to say, not enough time, or none to share. What that means basically, a lot of people are on Facebook, and you have some people that you didn't grow up with, they weren't a part of your, immediate family, or you haven't really established any kind of connection with it. Maybe you haven't had any phone calls, any regular letters or emails, but you decided to accept their friend request because they saw something that you were doing that was very positive, and they felt positive about some of your statements and things that you put on Facebook. So that's how I've acquired some. Now I don't have a lot. I have almost I have about 400 some odd people. I'm happy with that. I don't need 5 million to connect with. Other people, some of my other friends have 1,900 friends, 1,000 friends, hundreds of friends, 5,000. And I'm not, if it's meant for someone to connect with me, they will. So I don't worry about it. If I can have 19, I'm happy. For the time that I've been on Facebook, it has grown gradually for me to have about a little over 400. So it says here, that's what I'm making reference to. Whether we've had much to say to each other through Facebook or phone call or handwritten letter, typed letter, email, or we didn't have enough time to connect. We all have a life that we're living, that we've established, or none to share. I mean, you don't have anything to share at that moment. So this is for all of you here, meaning all the people that I knew on Facebook. But this message is channeled direct from the angel of grace, which is the archangel Haniel. The angel of grace represents divine love, awareness, remembrance, and compassion, as well as being graceful and having more gratitude and giving more forgiveness. This is all connected to her. And here's the angel of grace's statement. This very moment is spinning a new web of direct healing for your soul. Now, hear me now. This very moment is spinning like a web, a new web of direct healing for your soul and expanding your awareness to truly know who you are becoming as you release the past and let go of daunting futures. When I say daunting, that's a future that can escape you. And that daunting future, as it's busy bouncing around because it's not here yet, it's a future of worry and anxiety or even pain. People experience the pain, the hardship, because they're trying to grow up into who they are. They're trying to mature. They're trying to discover themselves. They're trying to free themselves from certain limitations and restrictions. So we, meaning angels, are always walking amongst you. Now, I used angels one time, about a year ago, as a play on word. Angels are angles or degrees of light or truth. Not limited, but infinite. A degree represents an increment of energy. And that increment could be a nanosecond of time to a spark of time, to a divine fiat of time. But in essence, it's what? It's all energy. That's expansive. That's expanding. It's all over the place. It's vast. So we, meaning angels, are always walking amongst you and holding your hands and helping to lift your feet upon your path. We as angels are always near thee, meaning near you, and desire. Now the word desire in Latin means from the Father, from your lineage, your connection. Now I always see it as not just your father, but also your mother. Father plants the seed, mother holds on to the seed for anywhere from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So mother's really the one sitting with the child, the energy of the child in the womb. So mother's the one who will have the greatest influence first. Beyond the father, mother will have the greatest influence. Mother controls how you really think, how you really appreciate life. So it's important for father to behave, be very positive, because the child can hear you. and it can feel your presence and how important your presence may be. So we, as angels, are always near thee and desire for you to know that we are relentless. Relentless. I mean, angel doesn't give up in carrying out your prayers and teaching or assisting you from the far reaches of the galaxy. That degree, that element of light known as the angels, that infinite angles of light known as angels, which are divine patterns. Divine patterns are part of the divine source, in which we are also a part of. At the same time, we have an integral connection to divine source. So we're made in the image and likeness of the God, the divine source. That means in our essence, the God is androgynous. That's what the yin and the yang symbol of Taoism is about. The white and the black divided by the curved line with in the white space there's a black dot and in the black space there's a white dot. I explained this last week. So if you listen to last week's broadcast, you'll hear me talk about that. The balance of the yin and the yang. But the angels are relentless. The angels are here to do their job. They're here to follow the will of the divine source. They're not following our will. They're not following our man-made influence. They're following divine presence that reaches what? Way out into the galaxy. And not just the Milky Way, but all the other galaxies and constellations. It is truly a gift, the angel of grace is speaking, it is truly a gift to watch over you, to be like your guardian, and watch you remember your integral part that is so welcomed here in the universe. And especially at this moment, this very moment. This is a very special moment in your consciousness, in your awareness, in your remembrance, in your journey to reawaken to your divine self. It's especially at this moment on Mother Gaia. And as even more so, you remember that Mother Gaia and all of you are organically connected. I mean, it's alive. You're not sleeping in the land of Nod. You're wide awake now. And you're organically alive and connected to her right now, this very moment, as you are growing in leaps and bounds to walk in your destiny. So you have a path, that's your life path, that's your destiny, and you're walking into it. It's like putting clothes on, fresh clothes on. You got to make sure your clothes fit you. You could hope that they do sometimes. You might be in a predicament where they don't fit. Nonetheless, the clothes can shelter you a little bit from the elements that you're walking through, that you might have to sleep in. You might have to stand in. You may have to feel the need to protect yourself in. It's truly a gift to watch you all, because the angels are saying this, the angels of grace are saying this, especially the angel of grace is saying, it's truly a gift to watch you all. That means all of us. Begin to remember who you truly are and not what you thought you were. For your external appearance is just merely your earth ship, and what lies beneath are the infinite particles of sacred, geometrical, solar, and lunar temple lights. This is how the angel spoke it. Called yourselves. The solar, lunar, sacred, geometrical, solar, and lunar temple lights called yourselves, with each one with a radiant subatomic tree of life, which is a DNA pattern and DNA codes embedded in each and every one of them. So the interesting factor is the DNA, which I refer to as your divine nature in action, or better yet, DNAA, your divine nature is now activated through your awareness, through your remembrance, through your self-love, through someone empowering you with more self-love and compassion and divine grace to be able to jump forward. In other words, you got the leap of faith. You can bound forward. You can bound and become boundless. without any restraints, without any reservations. In other words, we're in this day and time and era now where it's a brand new day. You don't have to spend thousands of hours like your ancestors did. You don't have to spend the first 30 and 40 years of your life, waking up or now moving forward and bringing out that living master that was already present. As a child, you chose to come in and you just chose to forget that you had all of this and make your life a game and trying to catch up and then bring it all into being. So here we are in your earth suit ship called your physical material body. But as you gain entrance into the vibrational field of the fifth dimensional presence or the fifth realm, which is your throat chakra, excuse me, get this out the way, your throat chakra. This is where you speak the word. And on the tree of life, they call this the great abyss, the mystery door. And the mystery is the truth is already there. You just have to make sure when you are expressing yourself verbally or writing it, because you're hearing, your clairaudience, no accident that the tubes in your ears for sound are connected to your throat. This is why if you have a problem with your throat, you have a problem with your ears. Any mucus collects in there, the cold gets really bad in there, and you can't get everything after a while. Your ears get all blocked up too. So you got to keep both of them clear. You are hearing, but it's coming through the throat, the power to speak the word. You can hear the word in you being spoken. You put all the tools there. You put all the keys there. You put all the mechanisms there. So all you're doing is walking throughout your life, discovering yourself and uncovering these tools that you put there yourself. Your soul energy put there before you got into its physical form. So you're working on this part of yourself to be this part of yourself, to come forward. So as you gain entrance into the vibrational field of the fifth dimensional presence, you shall not worry if your loved ones made it. You don't have to worry about it. You might be thinking that they fall behind, or they're not interested, they're doing something else. How many of us have various relatives? We all do. We all have relatives with different religious persuasions, and if you're not following them, some may condemn you and say, well, you're going to be left behind. Nah, that's not going to happen. Even in this new age setting, in this new thought setting, some people are thinking that, okay, I'm reaching this. I was told by the guides and the archangel that I'm at a high rate. I'm way up the ladder in my consciousness. I'm way up there in the 30s, 30 degree level. And you're thinking, well, everybody is left behind. No, they're not. In your mindset, you're way up there, but in their mindset, you're with them. Or to some who are not fully awakened, you may look like you're not there, but you really are. You're just vibrating at a different rate. They're vibrating at a slower rate. But as you improve, as you expand, you're pulling their energy field with you. This is why one day, when we reach that clear sound of the voice, the clarion call, when we can clearly hear clairvoyantly and see clairvoyantly, clairaudiently and clairvoyantly and clairsentiently, feeling and sensing, when we get all of that together, when your energy is raised to such a height, well, everything that's connected to you, every living thing, is going to go right along with you. That's why it's never left behind. That means finally, other people won't be the dog or cat whisperer. You'll be that too. You'll be able to communicate. Not just look at the dog's tail and the ears go back. You'll be able to actually hear when it growls or when it barks or when it makes a low tone or a high tone. You'll actually hear what that means. And that divine element through which that dog or cat is coming through will be able to use that and connect with you. So you'll be able to hear it in your own language. It's no accident. Right now, you could have 8 different people with 8 different distinctive languages all tell a dog to sit. And a dog doesn't need to look up in a book. The dog knows by the inflection and tone of your voice and the smell of your scent, your body, odor, what you mean. The dog or cat, especially the dog, can see the image. People say, I don't want the dog to jump up on top of me. Well, don't tell the dog that through an image, because the dog sees the image of you jumping up on them, of them jumping up on you. So what you want to do is see the dog seated and maybe put his paw out to connect with you. The dog laying at your feet because the dog got accustomed to your vibration. So guess what? No one is left behind. The angel says they may not open up at the same warp speed that you do, but they're not going to be left behind. It was taught at one point that as people move into this fifth dimensional consciousness, that your family members will be disconnected. Nah. What's going on? It only takes a few hundred or a few thousand people worldwide to wake up, to start to remember. And as they begin to remember, inside that lattice grid of crystal grids, the vibration will be radiant. It will be sent out and it will begin to resonate with all other minds and bodies that are aware of this and that are conscious of this and that are remembering this. The late Ken Keyes wrote a book on higher consciousness, and he talked about the 100th monkey principle. And basically what he said was, here all the monkeys are in the trees. Okay? They never got out of the tree. And now one monkey decides to come down and can walk on the ground. Well, that community of animals, primate animals, right there, they were seeing this. So then they're coming down. But think of the animals that are hundreds of miles away, that are still in the tree. They start feeling the vibration to come out of the tree. And then you hear the intelligent form of the animal can get fruit out of a tree. And the other animals begin to do the same. They pick up on the frequency, the wavelength. That's what's happening. So you can have one person on one side of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean or Pacific, and all of a sudden everybody gets it. So it's the same here. When a group, enough, what they call critical mass, enough people have the consciousness all at the same time, that moves what? That bounces humanity up the ladder. That unlocks the door. And see for themselves. So no one is left behind. Last, it is a new day now. Brand new day, brand new awareness. Now to remember that you are already, hear this, you are already, it means all of us are already, it's a brand new day, to recognize that each and every one of us is already a living master. When you hear the word like ascended master, that means the master had to reach master or mastery over themselves, man or woman, over themselves while they were living. Then when they put that earth body down and went back into the soul plane, they took that energy with them, the consciousness of the mastery with them, and they became the ascended master. So you're already a living master. You are about the business of paying attention, being more aware, and remembering. Now, that's putting all your efforts to remember right now. As you still go through many of life events, and the angels said and say some are so-called good and so-called bad ones, these are not really lessons anymore. See, when we weren't mature enough to understand it, the angels said when we weren't mature enough, we see it all as a lesson, a test, and a trial, and a tribulation. I'm being tested by the universe. No, then you realize you're being tested. You're testing yourself. Your soul and spirit, higher vibrational rate is testing yourself. Now you come to the level. It's no longer a test. It's no longer a lesson for you. These life experiences and events are no longer lessons or tests. They're just old data of experiences being raised to the surface of your awareness, your consciousness, to be healed. As many of them that come to the surface what you realize, they're brought to your attention so that you can do what? Turn back and turn on all of the memory switches. Remember, you're the living master who decided when you came into this particular earth element that you were going to forget that you were the living master, that you were going to play the game of life and start to remember through actions, thoughts, words, deeds, that you were going to come here and learn the process of a distinctive, detailed process of unconditional love and compassion, and understand the difference between earthly, physical, sensual love and divine love, and how both of them work together. You were going to learn about the Kundalini force, the utilization of, we call it the Kundalini, the pranic energy, which is also called the Ki in Japanese, the Chi in Chinese. You're going to learn all this energy and how it works. How by having it, you can begin to rejuvenate. So, turn all the switches on, all the memory boxes on, so you can move forward and be freely present in this present moment and impact your own worlds, the experiences, through alchemical process, through an alchemical process, which means to create, influence, enhance, dissolve, change, direct, redirect, and bless all through the principle of divine love. We angels are rooting you, ROOTING, not rooting for you in that sense. Yeah, they say rooting you mean anchoring you and rooting for you, cheering you on, supporting you, assisting you in your real home called the heart. It's no accident that the word heart has the same exact letters as earth. We love you always. A seed of divine grace and remembrance on 2/22/2014. This was channeled to me, so I had the rights to say so and write this out. But the whole idea was to share this information. Those of you that are buddied up with me on Facebook, you can go there and see it in its entirety. I think I only had to correct 2 words. Thank you so much for sharing in this moment, whether you got to see this program live or you get to come back in about a half hour and see it uploaded right here at ustream.tv /circle of grace with the number 1 at the end. So all you do is come to ustream.tv and then type in to the search bar Circle of Grace 1. It'll bring you to my page. And then you can click on the various visuals. You'll see like the visual picture. You click on each one and you get that information. So I thank you so much for coming out and experiencing the teachings. In about 1 hour, this same program live will be also archived at www.youtube. That's www.youtube, as in Brown, .com/Circle of Grace with the number 1 at the end. So you go right there on YouTube, look up my Circle of Grace 1 channel, or look up my name, Bishop Francis Revels-Bey, and bang, you'll be right there and you could watch it again. So it's a little over 45-minute, 50-minute show. So you'll be able to see everything in its entirety. Well, until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing, as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. I thank you so much. See you real soon.